The words lingered in the room like a strike that refused to fade. "You're like a toy," Monica Vale had said, her tone coated in sweetness and poison at the same time. For a brief second, the courtroom seemed to stop breathing. The only noise was the low hum of the overhead lights. Judge Judy remained completely still, her hands calmly folded on the bench, the gavel untouched, her expression impossible to read. The cameras from the network crew continued filming, one lens tightening its focus, catching the smallest flicker in Judy's eyebrow. "Name?" she asked quietly. There was no anger, no visible reaction, only the sharp clarity of authority. The woman lifted her chin slightly, her designer earrings swaying with the motion. "Monica Vale, real estate investor, entrepreneur." Her smile stretched wider, the kind meant to command attention. "You might have seen me online. I'm sure your grandchildren have." A soft murmur spread through the audience. Judy allowed it to settle on its own. The silence that followed felt intentional, like a gavel made of stillness. "Good," Judy said after a moment. "Then you shouldn't understand what happens when the cameras keep rolling after the performance ends." The bailiff, a tall man named Harris, shifted uneasily. He had witnessed disrespect before, but this felt different, sharper, almost deliberate. Monica leaned casually against the plaintiff's table, her diamond bracelet making a faint clinking sound, as if applauding her own confidence. "Judge, I don't have all day. I'm suing my former maid for defamation. She's trying to destroy my brand." Judy turned her head slightly, eyes narrowing. "Brand? Yes. Monica Vale Lifestyle. It's an online platform. I teach women how to elevate themselves, how to be confident." "Confident," Judy repeated, her tone neutral, though the word carried weight. Monica didn't notice the edge. She was already scrolling through her phone, acting bored. From the other side, a woman stood up. She was small, middle-aged, dressed simply but neatly. Her voice was quiet, yet steady. "Your Honor, my name is Alina Morales. I worked for Miss Vale for 6 years. Monica rolled her eyes. Worked, past tense, because she couldn't even iron properly. The crowd reacted again, but Judy raised her hand, and the room fell silent immediately. "Miss Valshi," said calmly, though her voice carried a firmness that cut through everything. "In this courtroom, you will not interrupt, insult, or perform." Monica opened her mouth in exaggerated surprise. "Perform? I'm just being honest." Judy leaned forward slightly, her tone soft, almost too soft. "Good, because honesty tends to echo here longer than arrogance." A brief flicker of confusion crossed Monica's face. The camera moved across the gallery, capturing tense, expectant expressions. Even the producer leaned forward, sensing something unfolding. Judy adjusted her glasses, glanced at her file, then looked up again. "Let's begin. You're suing Ms. Morales for defamation. You claim she made false statements about your treatment of staff, correct?" "Yes," Monica answered quickly. "She posted lies online, said I treated her badly. People exaggerate. It's the internet." "Do you have evidence of those lies?" Judy asked. "Screenshots, comments, people gossip." Judy's gaze stayed fixed on her. "Do you have proof she said anything untrue?" Monica hesitated. Her confident smile wavered. The room seemed to lean in. Judy tapped her pen once, slow and deliberate. "Miss Vale, this is not social media. This is truth." The gavel struck once, sharp and final. The sound echoed through the courtroom like distant thunder, and for the first time, Monica seemed to realize that she was no longer in control. The echo faded as Judy turned her attention to the defendant, Alina Morales. "You may speak." Alina stood carefully, holding a folder tightly against her chest. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice carried a quiet honesty. "Your Honor, I worked for Miss Vale for 6 years. I took care of her house, her clothes, her dogs. She stole towels." Monica cut in with a scoff. "Ms. Vale," Judy said, not raising her voice, yet slicing through the interruption. "I believe I made myself clear." The courtroom went still again. Monica crossed her arms, forcing herself into silence. Alina took a breath. "I didn't steal anything. I was fired because I asked to be paid for extra hours." Judy looked up. "How many hours?" "Almost 60 a week. I was only paid for 40. Monica made a dismissive sound, her bracelets clinking again. "Here we go. If you speak out of turn again," Judy said sharply, "you will be escorted out. Do you understand?" Monica froze, her smirk disappearing. Alina nodded and continued. "When I asked about the unpaid time, she told me I was lucky to even work in her home. She said I should be grateful someone like her noticed me." A ripple, of shock moved through the gallery. Judy's expression didn't change. Were there any witnesses, she asked. Elena hesitated, then nodded. Her driver heard it, and her assistant recorded part of it. Judy turned her gaze toward Monica. Do you have that recording? Elena handed over a flash drive. It's all here. Monica let out a dry laugh. That's illegal. If it was recorded during a workplace conversation, Judy replied evenly, then it is admissible, especially if it reveals the truth. The bailiff inserted the drive. A soft click broke the silence as a video appeared on the monitor. A luxurious marble kitchen filled the screen. Monica's voice rang out clearly. You people are replaceable. Don't start thinking you matter. Gasps filled the room. Monica's expression stiffened. That's your voice, Miss Vale, Judy said. It's out of context, Monica replied quickly. Judy's tone remained calm. That seems to happen to you often. People provoking you into showing who you are. The tension in the room grew heavier. Judy allowed the silence to settle before speaking again. In this courtroom, the truth does not require editing. The gavel struck once more. This time, Elena's eyes, once uncertain, began to show strength. Monica, for the first time, did not look untouchable. She looked cornered. Her attorney pressed his fingers against his temples, already bracing for what he knew was coming. Elena Morales held her folder tightly as Monica stepped closer. The space between them felt electric, like two completely different lives crashing into each other under the same roof. Monica smiled, but there was nothing warm about it. Her words were sharp, slicing through the air. Elena, she said, her tone dripping with mock sweetness. Tell me, how much were you paid to invent all these stories about me? I wasn't paid, Elena answered quietly. I only told the truth. The truth, Monica echoed with a laugh. You think cleaning my house gives you the right to drag my name through the dirt? Miss Val, Judge Judy cut in, her voice firm. You're getting very close to contempt. But Monica didn't stop. She turned slightly toward the audience, as if delivering a performance meant for them. This is what happens when you give power to people who don't deserve it. They stop believing they're your equals. A wave of shock passed through the room. Even the cameras seemed to tighten their focus, capturing every second of her unraveling. Judge Judy straightened in her chair, her silence heavier than any raised voice. Miss Val, she said at last, her tone low but powerful. You may have just made one of the clearest statements I've ever heard, not of guilt, but of character. Monica froze. The color drained from her face. Sit down, Judy ordered. When Monica hesitated, the judge's voice turned cold. Now, the scrape of Monica's chair echoed as she obeyed. Judy shifted her attention to Elena. You mentioned pay stubs. Yes, Your Honor. Elena handed them over simple sheets, some handwritten, others printed. Judy examined them carefully, then held one up toward Monica. These came from your company's payroll, correct? Monica leaned forward, squinting. They looked familiar. Looked closer, Judy said. Noticed the signature. There was a pause. Monica blinked, realization creeping in. It wasn't her handwriting. Judy placed the paper down with care. You submitted these through your attorney, yet the signatures don't match your verified records. Would you like to explain that? Monica's voice faltered. That's not possible. My assistant must have forgery as a serious matter, Judy interrupted. Choose your next words carefully. Whispers filled the courtroom until the bailiff called for order. Monica glanced around, the bright lights and cameras now feeling suffocating. Her polished image began to crack under the pressure. Her lawyer leaned in, whispering urgently for her to stay quiet. But the damage had already begun. Judy leaned back slightly. The higher the pedestal, Miss Val, the harder the fall. The gavel struck once, the sound carrying both warning and inevitability. Monica's perfectly manicured hands trembled for the first time. Moments later, the clerk stepped forward with additional payroll records. Judy adjusted her glasses, flipping through them with precise focus. Each turn of the page sounded deliberate, like a countdown, ticking closer to something unavoidable. These documents, Judy said evenly, were submitted by your legal team as proof of proper payment. You're aware of that? Yes, Monica replied quickly. They're authentic. Judy tapped one page with her pen. Then you can explain why the signature here differs from the one on your official business license. The monitor displayed a side-by-side comparison. The signatures were similar, but not identical, one smooth and practiced, the other uneven, forced. Monica swallowed. I signed a lot of documents. It was probably rushed. Judy looked up slowly. A signature is like a fingerprint. It doesn't rush the truth. A murmur spread through the room. Even the bailiff seemed more alert now. Monica's lawyer shifted uneasily. "Your Honor," he interjected. "It's possible an assistant processed these electronically." "Possible," Judy replied. "But unlikely, especially since the metadata shows these files were created 3 days after Ms. Morales filed her complaint." The room reacted instantly. Monica's head snapped toward her lawyer. "What?" The clerk confirmed calmly. The files were backdated. Judy leaned forward, folding her hands. "Would you like to revise your statement, or should I assume you knowingly submitted falsified documents?" For the first time, Monica's voice cracked. "I didn't tell anyone to change anything." My lawyer, her attorney's head jerked up in alarm. "Your Honor." I advised my client to stop speaking, but Judy didn't look at him. Her gaze stayed fixed on Monica. "You're quick to give orders when it benefits you," she said quietly. "But when the truth becomes inconvenient, you're ready to shift blame." The tension grew suffocating. Monica's breathing quickened, her composure dissolving in front of everyone. "Please mark these records for further investigation," Judy instructed the bailiff. Then she added, "Forgery isn't a small mistake. It reveals what someone becomes when honesty feels too expensive." "You're twisting everything," Monica muttered. Judy's tone dropped, calm and final. "No, Miss Vale, you twisted it. I'm simply straightening it." The gavel came down sharply, making the entire gallery flinch. Papers rustled. The lights above seemed harsher now, exposing everything. Monica sat there, stripped of her earlier confidence. Beneath the expensive jewelry and polished appearance, she looked smaller, cornered by the very truth she tried to control. After a moment, Judy spoke again, her voice measured. "You said you built everything yourself. Is that correct?" "Yes," Monica replied, forcing steadiness. "I worked for my success. And was that success built on honesty?" A hesitation, of course. Judy lifted the forged document slightly. "Then this shouldn't exist." A few people gasped. Monica gave a brittle laugh. "You're treating this like I committed a crime. I'm just running a business. People make mistakes. Mistakes happen once," Judy said. "Patterns form when lies become habit." Monica's lawyer whispered urgently, "Stop talking," but she ignored him. "I'm not the villain here," Monica snapped. "She's jealous. This is revenge." Elena's voice came softly, steady despite everything. "All I wanted was fairness. That's not revenge. That's respect." Something flickered across Monica's face, something unfamiliar. "Respect is earned," Judy said, leaning forward slightly. "Not demanded. And you seem to be lacking it." The room murmured again. Monica's face flushed deeply. "You're all judging me because I'm successful." "No," Judy replied evenly. "You're being judged because you treat people as if their dignity is optional." The words landed heavily. Monica said nothing this time. Even the cameras seemed to capture not her authority, but her fall. Her lawyer stood suddenly. "Your Honor, we request a short recess." "Denied," Judy said immediately. "The truth doesn't pause." Monica sank back into her chair, her confidence dissolving. "You know," Judy continued, "arrogance is like perfume. A little confidence is fine. Too much, and it becomes suffocating." A quiet ripple of reaction passed through the gallery. Monica looked up sharply, anger and humiliation mixing in her expression. The gavel struck again. "Sit. Listen. Learn. Because every word from this point forward shapes not just this case, but how you see yourself." Silence followed, heavy and unyielding. Even the shine of Monica's diamonds seemed dim now, reflecting consequence instead of power. Judy's gaze shifted to the attorney. "Counselor, I assume you reviewed these documents before submitting them." He swallowed hard. "Yes, Your Honor. To the best of my ability." "To the best of your ability," Judy repeated. "So you can confirm they were genuine?" A long pause stretched across the room, every eye fixed on him. Finally, he spoke, his voice unsteady. "I was instructed to include those documents by my client. I was told they were legitimates. I had doubts." The courtroom erupted. Monica's eyes widened, fury replacing fear. "You're lying," she snapped. "You're trying to save yourself." His hands trembled. "You told me to make the records. Matthew said you didn't care. How just make them look clean? Enough," Monica shouted, jumping to her feet. The gavel slammed down, commanding silence. "Sit down, Miss Vale," Judy ordered. But Monica kept going, her voice louder, unraveling completely. "He's a coward. I pay him to fix problems, and now he's pretending to be innocent. You're all hypocrites." The gavel struck again, sharper than before, cutting through her words like a blade. Miss Vale, sit down right now before I have you escorted out. Her voice cut off mid-shout, the command slicing through her anger. What followed was a strange, heavy quiet, like the air itself was waiting for the next impact. Judge Judy shifted her attention to the attorney, her tone calmer now, but carrying the same sharp edge. So, she said steadily, you're admitting these records were changed under your direction. He gave a weak nod. Yes, Your Honor, and I'm ready to accept whatever consequences follow. Judy studied him for a moment. The line between an error and a crime is honesty. You're partway there. Don't ruin it now. Then her gaze returned to Monica, intense enough to strip away every layer of confidence. Miss Val, you've accused everyone here of dishonesty except yourself. Yet today, your own lawyers confirmed under oath that your version doesn't hold. Monica lowered herself into her chair slowly, her breathing uneven, anger still simmering beneath the surface. Her attorney stared down at the table, defeated, but finally truthful. Cameras edged closer, capturing every crack in the once perfect image. The woman who once looked untouchable now resembled a breaking headline. Judy leaned forward slightly, her voice controlled and final. Truth has a way of appearing, Miss Vale, often through the very people you expect to defend you. The gavel struck, the sound echoing like the final cut of a scene. In that moment, Monica's carefully built empire didn't collapse with noise, but with exposure. The echo hadn't fully faded when Monica's lawyer dropped his gaze, but the deeper silence came from Monica herself. She sat frozen, eyes wide, jaw clenched, her bracelet trembling faintly against the table. Then suddenly, she laughed, a sharp, brittle sound that bordered on hysteria. "Oh, this is unbelievable," she said, rising again. "You all think you've uncovered some grand scheme. My lawyer is weak, my maid is dramatic, and you—" she pointed directly at the bench. "You're enjoying your little moment of authority." Judge Judy didn't react. "Sit down, Miss Vale." "No." Monica's voice rose again, shaking the room. "You don't give me orders. I build people. Like you. I employ people like you. You wouldn't even have a show if people like me didn't watch." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Reporters typed rapidly, capturing every word. Alina remained quiet, her eyes lowered, holding back tears. Judy's tone dropped. Colder now. "Are you finished?" The room froze again. Monica opened her mouth to respond, but something shifted. Her confidence faltered as her eyes flicked toward the back of the room. A young woman stood there, visibly shaken, clutching her phone. Her face was pale, her eyes red. It was Amber, Monica's PR assistant. "Miss Vale," she said, her voice trembling. "Stop lying." All attention turned instantly. Cameras pivoted toward her. "Amber, sit down," Monica snapped. "That's an order." Amber lifted her chin, fear giving way to resolve. "I can't. Not anymore." Judge Judy's expression softened slightly. "If you have something to say, go ahead." Amber took a shaky breath. "Monica told me to leak stories about Alina after she was fired," she said. "Make her look ungrateful. No one likes a maid who talks back." Monica's face strained. "That's not true." Amber stepped forward, her voice cracking but firm. "It is. I have the messages, the emails. You said no one cares about her truth, only your image." The courtroom erupted gasps, whispers, camera flashes. Even Monica's lawyer covered his face. Judy raised a hand, restoring silence. "Miss Vale," she said quietly, "would you like to respond before I verify this evidence?" Monica's lips trembled. She looked around the audience, the cameras, her lawyer, the assistant she once controlled so easily. But the expressions she saw now weren't admiration. They were judgment. "You're all turning against me?" she said weakly. "No," Judy replied calmly. "The truth is simply turning on the lights." Amber's phone was handed to the clerk. Moments later, the messages appeared on screen, clear and undeniable. Monica sank into her seat, covering her face. The illusion of control was gone. "You walked in here calling me a toy," Judy said quietly. "Now we see who's been playing with people's lives." The gavel struck once more, final and resonant. Around the room, whispers spread like wildfire, as Monica's carefully constructed image began to collapse in full public view. Outside the courtroom, chaos erupted almost instantly. Reporters surged forward, cameras flashing, voices overlapping. Inside, Monica sat still, pale beneath the harsh lights. "Court is in recess." 15 minutes, Judy announced, standing and gathering her papers with measured calm as she arose. Every lens followed her. Monica's lawyer rushed to gather documents. "We need to leave," he muttered urgently, tugging at her sleeve. But Monica didn't move. She stared ahead blankly, as if the walls themselves reflected her downfall back at her. When she finally stood and stepped outside, the noise hit her all at once. "Monica, did you falsify documents? Is it true you mistreated your staff? Do you have a statement?" She pushed forward, chin raised, though her voice trembled. "I have nothing to say to vultures." Flashes exploded around her. Behind her, Amber stood quietly, no longer just an assistant, but a witness. "Miss Vale," a reporter called out. "Judge Judy's statement is trending millions of views already." Monica froze. Her lawyer checked his phone, then turned the screen toward her. A viral clip played, Judge Judy's voice clear. "The truth doesn't need editing." Comments flooded the screen. "Money can't buy integrity," she mocked. "The judge now look instant karma." Monica's breath caught. "They're laughing at me." Amber stepped closer. "They're not laughing. They're seeing who you really are." Monica spun toward her, anger flaring again. "You think you are better than me?" Amber didn't back down. "No, but people believe the truth now, and that's stronger than fear." The hallway fell, silent again as cameras captured every second. Monica's hands trembled, her composure slipping further. Then Judge Judy appeared at the doorway, calm and composed. She looked at Monica not with anger, but something colder. "Miss Vale," she said evenly, "you can run from cameras. You can't run from consequences." Monica tried to respond, but no words came. Judy walked past her, file in hand, as the crowd parted. The lights dimmed behind her, leaving Monica standing alone under the glare, no longer powerful, just exposed. When the courtroom doors opened again, every seat was filled. The air buzzed with tension, thick with anticipation. Monica re-entered with her lawyer, sunglasses hiding her swollen eyes. The murmurs followed her as she walked. She seemed smaller now, her confidence dulled. Judge Judy sat still at the bench. As Monica reached her place, Judy looked up. "Welcome back, Miss Vale. I hope the recess gave you time to reflect, not rehearse." A few quiet chuckles moved through the room. "I don't appreciate being mocked," Monica muttered. "Neither does the truth," Judy replied. "Yet it keeps showing up." The clerk stepped forward with Amber's phone. "Your Honor, the messages have been authenticated." The screen lit up. Monica's own words appeared clearly. "Make sure her name. Trends. Liar. Thief. Ungrateful. Pay bloggers. I don't care what it costs." Gasps filled the room. "That's out of context," Monica insisted. "You don't understand what it's like to be attacked." Judy's voice came down like a quiet hammer. "You mean people like your staff, your assistant, your employee?" Monica froze, the weight of those words settling heavily in the room. Judy continued, her tone steady but sharp enough to cut through any illusion. "You turned power into a weapon and called it ambition. You surrounded yourself with luxury to cover something far less appealing. Tell me, Miss Vale, did it ever actually make you feel bigger?" Monica's breathing grew uneven, her composure slipping. "You don't understand," she muttered. "Oh, I understand very well," Judy replied without hesitation. "I've seen people like you more times than you think. You confuse arrogance with strength, wealth with respect, and attention with genuine connection." The room fell quiet once again, the tension thick enough to feel. Even the faint background noise seemed to fade. Then suddenly, Monica surged forward, slamming her hands against the table. "Turn off the cameras," she shouted. "This is my life, not some spectacle for people to watch." The bailiff stepped in quickly, but Judy simply lifted her hand, stopping any further movement. "Miss Val," she said calmly, "you were the one who invited the spotlight. You wanted everyone to witness your victory. Now, they're witnessing the truth, and it's still your stage." Monica's strength gave way. Her knees weakened, and she dropped back into her chair, anger draining into visible exhaustion. Judy watched her carefully before speaking again. "You can't escape the world you created. It's just finally reflecting back at you." The gavel struck once, echoing sharply. In that single sound, Monica Vale's carefully constructed image began to crumple, not quietly, but under the same bright attention she once welcomed. The cameras continued recording, but the atmosphere had shifted completely. The shouting was gone, replaced by a heavy silence filled with consequence. Monica sat hunched at the table, her makeup smudged, her posture small and withdrawn. The woman who once radiated confidence now seemed diminished under the harsh lights. Even the reporters had paused. No typing, no whispers, just watching. Judy remained silent for a long moment, studying Monica, not as a case, but as a person laid bare. When she finally spoke, her voice was softer, almost reflective. "Miss Vale," she said, "do you know what happens when you look into a mirror? For too long." Monica slowly raised her head, eyes red. "You see what everyone else sees?" she replied weakly. Judy shook her head. "No. You start seeing yourself. Not the version you present to the world, but the one you've been avoiding." The silence deepened. Even the bailiff's rigid stance softened slightly. Monica's lips trembled. "You think you understand me? You think my mistakes make me some kind of villain?" Judy leaned forward slightly. "No. I think you're someone who mistook attention for affection. And when the applause faded, you didn't know who you were without it." Monica gripped the edge of the table. The entire room seemed to hold its breath. "When I was younger," Judy continued, "I trusted the wrong people. I believed reputation was everything. And then one mistake, one betrayal, and it all collapsed. I lost my credibility for a time," Judy said quietly. "My confidence, my relationships, nearly everything. The only thing that kept me standing was understanding that truth doesn't need applause. It just needs persistence." The words lingered in the air. For the first time, Monica didn't argue. She simply listened. "You're not the first person to fall," Judy went on. "But you may be the first who still believes she hasn't." Judy tilted her head slightly. "No, I want you to face yourself. Real power isn't what you take, it's what you're responsible for." The camera focused on Monica's face, no longer defiant, but reflective. Judy lifted her gavel, then paused. Without the illusion, she said quietly, "Who are you?" The silence that followed was deeper than anything before. Monica stared down at the polished surface of the table, catching a faint reflection of someone she barely recognized. Outside, rain began tapping against the windows, a soft rhythm underscoring the tension. "Elena Morales," Judy said gently, "do you have anything to add? I just want her to understand something." She glanced at Monica. "Words can hurt. Power can hurt even more when it's used carelessly." Monica looked up briefly. There was no anger this time, just emptiness. Judy nodded. "Thank you. You may sit." The room shifted slightly, but the emotional weight remained. Judy turned back to Monica. "Before I give my ruling, I want to make something clear. Arrogance is loud, it tries to drown out fear. But truth is quiet, and it never goes away." The rain outside grew heavier. Monica blinked rapidly. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone," she whispered. "I just thought if I looked strong enough, no one would see how afraid I was." There was no performance in her voice, now only honesty. Judy studied her closely. Strength isn't pretending to be untouchable. It's standing firm when your flaws are visible. A tear slipped down Monica's cheek, and she didn't wipe it away. Across the room, Elena watched not with anger, but with understanding. Beneath everything, she could see it now. Not just a powerful woman, but a fragile one. "This courtroom isn't about punishment," Judy said. "It's about perspective. Sometimes the hardest consequence is facing who you truly are." Monica gave a faint nod, unable to respond. Thunder rolled softly in the distance. Judy didn't strike the gavel this time. She simply sat there, letting the rain fill the silence. And for the first time, Monica truly listened. After a moment, Judy looked between both women. "Elena, if you wish to speak directly, you may respectfully." Elena hesitated, then stood again, her hands steadying themselves. "Miss Vale," she began softly, "when I worked for you, I believed that if I worked hard enough, you would see me as a person." Monica lifted her head slightly. "But every time I spoke, you made me feel smaller," Elena continued. "You made it seem like people like me should stay quiet and be grateful. And for a long time, I did." Her voice wavered briefly before strengthening again. "But gratitude doesn't mean silence. And respect isn't something you can buy." A quiet murmur spread through the room. "When you fired me, I didn't cry because I lost my job," Elena said. "I cried because I lost faith in people I thought had everything." She paused, her expression softening. "But now I see. You didn't have everything. You just had walls." Monica's breath caught, the words settling heavily around her. Her hand rose to her face again. But this time it wasn't to hide. It was to steady herself from falling apart. Judy observed in silence, her expression firm yet touched with understanding. Elena's final words carried a quiet strength, truth softened by compassion. "You just missed me because I chose dignity, Miss Vale. But dignity is something no one can take away, not even you. And if you ever find yours again, I hope you use it to lift others, instead of tearing them down." The courtroom sank into complete stillness. Even the technicians seemed frozen. Monica stared at Alina as tears streamed freely down her face. Her lips parted, but nothing came out at first. Then, barely audible, a fragile whisper escaped. "I'm sorry. There was nothing polished about it. No performance, no calculation, just something honest and vulnerable." Elena gave a small nod, her own eyes shimmering. "That's all I ever wanted to hear." Judy leaned forward slightly, her voice steady and meaningful. "That," she said, "is what justice looks like when it remembers humanity." The gavel came down softly, not harsh but deliberate, like the closing note of something sacred. Outside, thunder rolled faintly, no longer threatening, but cleansing. In that moment, grace extended beyond innocence and reached even those who had done wrong. The rain stopped, and a gentle golden light filtered through the courtroom windows, warm and calming, like relief after chaos. Judy lifted her gavel again, composed and resolute. "Let's finish this." Every person in the room straightened, attention sharpened. Monica sat motionless, tears drying on her cheeks. The diamond bracelet on her wrist, no longer seemed meaningless now. Across from her, Elena sat upright, calm and grounded, her presence quiet but strong. "Miss Val," Judy began, "you arrived here demanding to be seen as powerful. You leave here being seen as human." Monica looked up, not with defiance or anger, but with a quiet willingness to listen. "You mocked this court," Judy continued. "You belittled those who worked for you, and you attempted to distort the truth to protect your image. You failed not because I am clever, but because truth doesn't require cleverness. It requires courage." She glanced toward Alina, and Ms. Morales showed plenty of that. Alina lowered her eyes modestly. Judy turned back to Monica. "The court rules in favor of the defendant. All damages requested by Ms. Morales are granted in full." The gavel struck once final clear, but Judy wasn't finished. She leaned forward again, her tone softer now. "In addition, you are required to issue a public apology. Not as a performance, but as something genuine. You've spent enough time behind cameras. Now stand in front of one without hiding." Monica nodded slowly, another tear slipping free. "Yes, Your Honor." The room remained quiet, filled only with the faint hum of lights and the softer, more deliberate scratching of reporters' pens, as if they were trying to capture more than just words. Judy leaned back, her voice shifting from authority to reflection. "I've seen arrogance destroy more lives than hardship ever could. But I've also seen humility rebuild lives stronger than pride ever did." Her gaze softened. "If this moment breaks you, Miss Vale, let it break what needed to be broken." Monica closed her eyes briefly and nodded. Judy set her papers aside. "Court is adjourned." The gavel fell one last time, not as judgment, but as release. The audience exhaled almost in unison. Cameras flashed again, but without chaos this time, with a sense of respect. Elena stood and began walking out. As she passed Monica, their eyes met briefly. There was no hostility, only quiet understanding. Outside, sunlight broke through the clouds, filling the hallway with warmth. As Judy stepped down from the bench, she murmured softly to herself, words meant for no one else but carrying meaning all the same. The next morning, the courthouse steps were nearly empty. The storm, both literal and emotional, had passed. A few reporters lingered, their voices low. Into the soft morning light stepped Elena Morales. No crowd, no spotlight, just quiet presence. A journalist called out gently, "How does it feel to win?" She gave a small smile and shook her head. It wasn't about winning, it was about being heard. Her answer settled into the air, simple yet powerful enough to quiet everything around her. Across the city, Monica sat alone in her penthouse. The polished marble floors felt cold beneath her feet. Her phone buzzed, constantly messages from brands, reporters, and followers, all waiting for a response. But the person they expected no longer felt the same. On the counter lay the court order, unfolded. A public apology within 72 hours. For the first time, she didn't see it as humiliation, but as an opportunity. She picked up her phone and turned on the camera. No filters, no special lighting, just honesty. Her voice trembled, but she spoke. "I disrespected people who worked. For me, I'd lied to protect myself. I believed power meant never admitting I was wrong, but I was wrong about everything." She paused, eyes glistening. "To Ms. Morales, to the court, and to everyone, I misled him. Sorry. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't rehearsed. But it was real." Within hours, the video spread everywhere. Not because of scandal, but because of sincerity. Some criticized her, others forgave, but everyone paid attention. Meanwhile, in a quiet cafe, Judy sat by the window, slowly stirring her tea. A producer slid a tablet toward her, showing Monica's apology. Judy watched without speaking. When it ended, she simply said, "She'll be all right." The producer looked uncertain. After everything, Judy gave a faint smile. She finally faced herself. Most people never do. Outside, sunlight filled the street. Alina walked past the window holding a small bundle of white lilies. She paused when she saw Judy inside. Their eyes met through the glass, and Alina gave a slight nod, a silent expression of gratitude. Judy lifted her cup in return, a quiet acknowledgement. The city carried on calm and renewed, as if something heavy had been lifted.